In this video, we're going to show you some of the features of LAGAN Web Self-Service, a business solution which has been designed to enable you to maximize the efficiencies you can gain from your digital-first strategies. So let's start by going through some of the main features of LAGAN Web Self-Service. Here we have a sample website that's been created using the site designer that comes with LAGAN Web Self-Service. I'm going to, as a customer, I want to report an abandoned vehicle here, so let's see how that would look. So I'm going to select that from the menu here. I'm going to put in an address. Okay, you can see here I'm using a Google widget here, and I can reposition that and it changes the address as well. I'll move on. I can now specify information about the vehicle itself. And notice the progress bar moving on there as well. I can now put some additional information in as well about the request. Excuse my typing. I can upload attachments as well, and I'm going to submit that. And you can see now I've got to the end of this process as indicated by the progress bar. I've got a summary of the request that I just submitted. And what's actually happening behind the scenes is this is now being posted into the an internal LAGAN implementation that we have, which we'll get to later. But you can see I've got a summary here. You can also see that I can drill in and see information about, or have a look at the photograph that I submitted as well. Okay, so let's now look at another example. This time we'll look at antisocial behaviour, or look to report that. So again, we'll put in an address, specify the location. So we'll say it's along the Queen's Road, which is where the CANA headquarters are in Belfast. We're now, in this particular example, we're asked to put in a postcode as well. So this isn't the Belfast postcode, you probably, the eagle-eyed will know. But it's one that I know is in the property database. I've configured this particular web self-service application to speak to, or talk to. These addresses are coming from the LAGAN enterprise system in question, which in this case is in our own property database, but of course can be linked out to a third party, as many of our implementations are. Key thing is it's using the same integration, or same data, whether it's using integration or not. Okay, let's put some more information in here. Sorry, no wearing hoodies, of course they are. Okay, okay, now let's just submit that, and we'll see how that ends up on the system later. Okay, and then we have a summary of the case. Okay, so before we go on to look at authentication, let's look at what's happening within the LAGAN enterprise system that this web self-service solution is talking to. So here it is here. We'll just select that one. You can see that the case has the appropriate classification. This all happens behind the scenes, by the way. We'll explain this later. It's got the relevant title. It's been allocated to its default work queue, as you'd expect. There's just the details of what the date and time in which it was reported. It was reported anonymously. We didn't log in, so we don't know who the person was, and we chose not to collect their details. But this is where it gets interesting here. We have taken the information that was collected and spread it across two different parts of the case. In this case, this case has got a case form and an e-form, and we're able to take the data and split it across those two data storage areas. Okay, so let's look at the other service that we created earlier, which was the abandoned vehicle. We'll just drill into that fairly quickly. So again, we have the abandoned vehicle case being created here, with the default work queues and priorities and so on being added. We've also got an e-form here, no case form in this example, but the fields are correctly mapped onto that form as well. We've got a task list that was predefined against that process. Again, we are reusing the existing processes here. This is quite an important point. And then we've got a history. Now, a couple of important parts here is we used a map, if you recall, to report this particular case. And we do store the XY coordinates behind the scenes. We also actually convert those into the appropriate mapping projection system, which we'll cover in a separate video. But we also store the textual representation of the address, which you can see here. And we emphasize the fact that this was a GIS search as well. Okay, then the other point, of course, was the photograph. So we've mapped that into the case as well. So we'll have a look at that. And we've added that as a note. And if you click on that, you will get the photograph as well, and there is the burnt out vector. Okay, so what we're doing here is showing you that from the customer perspective you can report issues on the web, but also the services or processes end up as lagging cases, as you'd expect, but critically the same cases that you would already have in your contact center. So in this final section of this video, we're going to look at how customers can be able to access more sensitive information on the website or LAGAN Web Self-Service if they have the appropriate higher level of authentication. So to do that, we're going to use two examples, two people. One's Michael Marshall, who has got council tax information. And what we're going to show here is how you can provide access to some or all of that data in a configurable way, but in a secure way, depending on how sure you are about an individual's identity. So Michael Marshall is one example. And he has property tax information. We're also going to look at or log in as David Moody, and he also has council tax information, which you can see here. So let's see how their experiences differ on the web. Okay, so here's back to the website again. We're going to log on now as Michael Marshall first of all. So we log in. And then we're going to look at a new service that we haven't looked at thus far in this video, which is access to their personal information, or customer-related information. So we select their email address. And you can see here that Michael has access to all of the information. This is actually coming from LAGAN Enterprise, all of this information. So the same information that the people in the contact center would have, Michael also has access to online. And again, you can decide to withhold this entirely or make it available depending on the security level. In this case, Michael has access to his personal information here, which you might say has a low business level impact if somebody else got access to it. But the property tax or council tax in this case, we've decided that Michael is not allowed to have access to. Why? Because he's not been appropriately verified. His identity hasn't been appropriately verified. So what's happened there? Well, there's a registration process behind the scenes here that we haven't looked at. And if a customer like Michael was to go through that process, then he would, from that point on, when he's accessing services online, be able to access these higher level services. So he can't. We're also putting up a message here to tell Michael, encourage him to get that higher level of access, because then he'll be able to access more services. You can deploy this in different ways. We've decided that we want to advertise the services that are available to everybody to encourage them to do more. And you can read more about ideas like this in my Barriers to Channel Shift white paper that you can download from the website. Let's log out, and now let's log in as David Moody. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Again, just very simply, both customers have council tax information or property tax information, but in the case of Michael, he's not allowed to access his council tax information, and in the case of David, he is. So I'm accessing this now. The information is coming from the same repository that it's coming from for LAGAN Enterprise or from the contact center. This information could be copied in could have been copied into the LAGAN Enterprise database, which is what has happened in this case. But it could also be accessed remotely through an integration point through a thing called the ODM gateway. The important point here is we're accessing the same data regardless of where it is stored in an omni-channel way. Let's drill into this account. Again, this is the council tax information. We've got information here about the last updated date, so we're kind of hinting that in this case we've actually copied it. So again, because it doesn't change very much, we've taken the view that actually copying it once every day or hour or whatever is sensible, and then the customer, when they're accessing it, doesn't have to impact the back office system where it is mastered. We can drill down further. We can get to the transactions in this account. In this case, there's only one transaction, but if there was multiple, you'd be able to navigate through information about occupants, etc. Again, less important here is the fact that this is specifically council tax information. More important is the idea that you can, through configuration, decide on which customer-related information you want to display on or make it accessible through the website, and through what security level. You could have social housing information, you could have information about bin collection days or trash can collection days, elected officials, and so on, all available through configuration in LAGAN Web Self-Service. So that's it for this video. We will be releasing other videos to cover other aspects of LAGAN Web Self-Service. But for now, thank you for watching.